Hello, Stephen Graham here, Graham's Boomerangs, art teacher at Kane Elementary School, and we are in the art room today, and I am going to be teaching a lesson on how to draw objects from real life. This is called observational drawing, and it is the best kind of drawing. It gives you practice at how objects really look, and it improves other types of drawing that you might want to do. So we're going to select an object that's familiar to us, that has a little bit of meaning for us, and draw it. Now, this could be anything. These same rules can be applied to any type of drawing that you want to do of an object in real life. Advice is on how to hold a pencil. I usually will put two fingers out like this and hold the pencil down near the opposite end from the point. And so I'm holding it very loosely, and this lets me move my pencil with a lot of motion. I can move my entire arm. I can come from the shoulder and move and draw and capture lines across my page that might run clear across my page. And I can also apply a light amount of pressure this way, whereas if I'm holding my pencil more for writing or details, then I am too tight and I'm going to press too hard, and my drawing is not going to be loose and have the flow if I hold it more like this. So sometimes I think of how Harry Potter would hold a magic wand, or a swordsman would hold a sword more loose where you can move it like this. So we want that movement. Close one eye to help flatten out the object and drawing. Another thing is to squint down, and so that you are seeing through your eyelashes and the object. That way you are seeing it much more out of focus, and it takes away some of the detail. When you begin a drawing, I don't want to see all the detail. So we're going to be drawing this shoe, and this is somewhat of an approximation of how it might look if I was squinting at it and taking away some of the detail. It just becomes more of a shape, a solid shape, instead of having a lot of detail. I am going to begin my drawing now, and before I even start marking on my paper, what I like to do is I like to trace in the air. So I take my pencil and I line it up on an edge, and I trace this curve. I trace this curve. I trace around the object in the air and get a feel for curves within the object. So I'm going to begin with this one. I'm going to feel that curve, how that curves, and then I'm going to come onto my paper and I'm going to make that curve. Now, I would probably normally draw even lighter than this, but I want this to show up on the camera. So I'm going to feel a curve here and copy it onto my paper. Little edge here, down the back side of it. I know this is more complex than this. If I really look at it, I know it's got a bump, and then it goes down, and then down, and then bump, and then bump. But here I'm just going to simplify. When I am beginning a sketch, it's important to simplify. Here, the roundest under here, up, trace it in the air. Always tracing in the air, no matter what I'm drawing. If I'm drawing a person, if I'm drawing a building, if I'm drawing a stuffed animal, whatever. Tracing in the air is an important part of drawing and helps you get accurate curves and the feeling of the object. So this is a pretty good way to start it out. In a shoe, oftentimes I look at this line after I've kind of got this outside line, which gives me the shape of the entire shoe. Very roughly, I know that this will have some mistakes in it, and by drawing light, I allow myself to come back and correct things that are not correct. So I almost plan on having some inaccuracies in my drawing that later are going to help me get it correct. And by doing this line very scratchy, and very gesture-like. It allows me some choice in here on where that line is really going to be. So I've got it drawn several times, and then when I get this, at some point I will switch around and begin to draw more carefully. So anyway, I began to look at some of these major lines within the shoe, some of these pieces, and I trace them in the air, and then I begin to feel out where they're going to go on here. Feeling it out. So eventually this will come along and be completed and will be very accurate and be very realistic looking. Sometimes after I get it sketched in pencil lightly, I love Sharpie marker, so I could take a Sharpie marker and fix it up with Sharpie marker. And then one of my last steps would be to erase. You notice I don't need to erase anything at beginning a drawing like this, where it's light, it's scratchy, it's going to have some mistakes, but I can erase those things out later. So it's important not to erase at first. All right, here is my drawing after working about 30 minutes on it or so. I'm trying to get it very accurate. Here's another little technique for helping you get things accurate. You can measure angles between things. Like, for instance, I could measure the angle between the end of this part and this part right here. So I can hold my pencil on that angle. Then I can come to my drawing and I can check that angle. Take it right straight from there, straight to there, and yes, I got that fairly accurate. So that can help me get my drawing correct. All right, now I have taken my shoe and I have done some work with my Sharpie marker to get it finished. Looking very good, huh? Very accurate. Hello everybody, I just wanted to remind you that anybody can learn to draw. There's nothing special about drawing. It is a skill that can be learned by practice and continually observing things and drawing them. You get a lot of practice, right, Pirate? So a few things we learned in this video. Hold your pencil loose so you can gesture and your drawing will be loose and not tight. Don't start with the details. Start with the big shapes first, the major lines. Trace in the air first, so that you are looking, you be sure you're looking at the object and tracing, getting a feel for the edges, feeling a way around an object to feel out the shapes, and then putting them onto your paper. After you have drawn loosely, you may tighten up your grip on your pencil so you can draw with more detail and add all those fun details. All right, we'll see you later.